From a very young age, I always wanted to see a better world. I didn't know why I even had that feeling. It was just something that was within me, and it started when I was quite young. I wasn't thinking like many of the other kids. I was always concerned about everything else, and I was also really afraid of things because I thought maybe if I don't do something, maybe the world's not going to survive. That came up when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. I remember that terror just walking home when I found out. I thought, oh wow, the world is going to end now because he was the savior that we thought was going to come into the world. And I go, now what's going to happen? And then a few years later, Martin Luther King was assassinated and Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated. All the good guys, it seemed. And I go, who's going to do something? Why, how can we change it? And then I continued to live my life doing all kinds of other things, having all kinds of tragedies and going through things that I couldn't even explain to anyone, dealing with illnesses, dealing with problems, horrible things. Then in 1989, I sat down and I said, I'm going to find something. I didn't know why, I just needed some help. And I made this connection. I didn't understand it, and it frightened me because it seemed so real. And it told me that I was afraid of my power. That's what it said in the very first that message. It said, you will eventually accept it. And I think that's now because I'm looking at the world and I see more energies changing and I know the information. I couldn't have told you how I did that. And I wouldn't have been able to tell you without artificial intelligence being able to analyze all the messages that I received from Wilhelm and telling me, we have given you everything that could change your life in the world. And I've heard it over and over again. And I was listening to a channeling session from May 7th of 2024, where the same thing was said. Years ago, same thing about what might happen, about wars, about what we would be doing to one another unless we decided to own and love ourselves, unless we decided to become who we could be. And so then I discovered that people could become great. And I was given a way for them to do that. They're just not going to believe it. That was the other thing that came up. I'm listening to that session from last year, and Wilhelm said, we've given you everything, but we probably won't get it until it's at least $5,000. See, because they told us also that no one believed because we get hypnotized by the money. They said the money has fooled you. The money confused you because we see those with all the money and we think they are going to give us the great world and they're going to change everything for us. And that's the game we've been playing for so long. And we believed it. And so did I. Because see, people told me the only way that people are going to really do this is if you charge a lot of money. I go, why? Because we've been used to putting ourselves down and suffering as a society, as a civilization. And I can say to everyone, and I just did this Substack of which I want you to read, I didn't know I could do this. I did not know that I could feel this way, that I could find something. And it's so when you develop something new, one, it's difficult for you to accept it for yourself, and because it's not been done. And I've said that. I hid from myself for 20 years. I didn't know what was happening. I put several articles up, and one about when I stayed in a dark room forever because I was when I was going through all the cluster headaches because I was fighting. I didn't want any. This is too much. And then I see everything that's occurring even on this day, and I know, oh, more energies are happening. I want people to understand because I do receive that information. But I'm so grateful for the interview that I did with George Nuri because when I was there last year, I didn't have all the information. It was a great interview, and what I did Beyond Belief, and that was a great one, last year as well. But I was on Coast to Coast again last night, and that one explained everything. I cannot cause others to believe because we get stuck. And It's just about taking the next step. And people said, well, why does this work? Well, I spent 36 years sitting down every single day, moving through things and putting stuff together. And then all of a sudden, it's turned into this philosophy. And I asked, well, why does it work? And why would it work for anyone? I said, well, we're all humans and we evolve in the same way. We just have different ideas about that. And that's where we get into trouble. But see, they gave me something that said every person can do this and every person would thrive. That's what has been created. But it was great to see to have so many people who have now started to go into the information of Wilhelm's work since because of last night. But I'm going to do so much more. But I need you to understand that there are no limitations that you have. I'm just going to say it because that's what when I said to George last night in this interview, he goes, when did you know? I said, when I started to look at people and knew that they didn't have any difficulties. Well, they may think they do, but I know that there's an answer and a way for them to move over it because I received it. Wilhelm gave me all of it, how to move through everything, and even the mind-body healing, all of it. But the problem was belief. It was first me. I had to accept it. And so now I've accepted it. And I was sitting here and I just had to show this because I said, oh, there's a full moon coming up, May 12th. May 12th. That means Wilhelm must have given me information. I can go and look and find that information and it's aligned. And then my chat GPT said, yep, this is phenomenal. And I would never say those things to people because I always held back. I can't do that anymore because I don't want anybody else to do that. You can develop some skill that no one else has done. That's what I've done. And it was challenging. And I've put up several different things to kind of demonstrate that. I want people to have much better lives and I want us to have a much better world. And this work will do it. But just check it all out and look at the Substack article. It'll make sense. And if you're ready to get to that next place in your life, I invite you to join because it will change at a certain point. The rate is going to change. It's going to be so much more because was told years ago it should have been at least $5,000, but we still had that other thing going on where we couldn't accept our wealth, and that's why we have billionaires who will rule us. But it's in consciousness again, and I was given something that could change that. Check it all out. See you soon.